She's the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York. Follow her voice, a straight dog is nice. She's the pushy broad from the Bronx, oh yeah. Don't be surprised if you wanna listen twice. Make decisions, find the right choice. Know yourself better, find your own voice. It's okay if you need help today, cause everybody needs a little push. From the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York.
Welcome, Transformation Talk Network listeners. My name is Ellen Stewart, and I am the pushy broad from the Bronx. Welcome to my show, Recovery Recharged, where we share advice and support from experts in addiction, recovery, and life. This is going to be a very interesting show this morning. The name of this show is Reset, Reown, and Restart. Boy, sounds like I'm an engine that has to restart. We're going to talk about discovering the process that leads to freedom from past limitations by resetting these things that don't belong to you. I have an expert who is a seasoned and dynamic TEDx speaker who's here to tell us about his breakthrough program, Reset It. I want to introduce to you Marc Mathys, and I want to tell you a little bit about him. He's based in Montreal, and he's a TEDx speaker. He's a dedicated educator, passionate about knowledge sharing, with a background in craftsmanship as a cabinet maker and teaching design in the woodworking industry. Marc's expertise is certainly diverse. His primary focus lies in neuroscience and quantum physics, leading to the development of the transformative Reset It program. For the past 20 years, this innovative approach has been at the core of his work, helping countless individuals achieve mental and physical well-being. I cannot wait to hear what Marc has to say. The Pushy Broad from the Bronx and Recovery Recharged welcomes my guest, Marc Mathys. Good morning, Marc. How are you?
Well, good morning, and thank you for the invite today. It's nice to be part of what you're doing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. So, I want you to tell me how you identify yourself. Naturotherapy? Am I saying that correctly?
It's a natural therapist. It's the science behind nature of how the body and mind works.
Okay, so how did you get here from cabinet making, Marc? Give us a background. Were you building a house one day and said, Eureka? What? Tell us.
Well, it's about that. 20 years ago, I had a problem with my health, which I had severe sleep apnea, where I stopped breathing 54 times out of the hour. So I was never really sleeping. And when my doctors gave me my machine to regulate my air intake, this machine is that you sleep with it. And I slept the first night, and I woke up that next morning, and I felt this energy inside of me, because I never slept before. And when I was shaving in the morning, I was looking at myself, and I was like, wow, I really liked what I was seeing. And what I realized is that all my stuff that was in my head before, it's like somebody took my brain, took it out, washed it off, and put it back in. I was completely a different person. And when I was seeing myself, it's just a beautiful space where I'm in front of the mirror. And I wanted to find out what happened to me. And that's where I started my research on the brain and how the brain works. And it brought me into two different sciences, which is the neuroscience field, where I found out that when in my brain, my neural pathway just reset it. And what I was putting into that space, that became my reality. And the second science that I went into is the quantum energy field. So what I was putting in my mind before the CPAP, that was my reality. And when I received from that rest, everything that I put into my mind became my reality. And I started teaching this around here in Montreal, having fun with it. And I was very lucky in 2016, I was invited to do a TED Talk here in Montreal on my research on how we can change our lives in a fraction of a second. And it all started there.
Unbelievable. Well, first of all, that's the best commercial for a CPAP machine I have ever heard in my life.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
And I know that for sure because, again, I was having difficulty and I wasn't having as many episodes as you, but for me, it was 15 or 17. But for my sister, it was something in also the 50s or 60s or something horrible. So I can see why, if you feel that you're getting up many times during the night, or you're snoring, or you're having disjointed sleep, a sleep study is paramount, and it doesn't matter how old you are. I have sent people in their teens and 20s for a sleep study. So that's another reason. But people don't realize that it's not only your sleep that improves, you are a living testament to the fact that your brain actually changes. Okay, so let's move on. The Resetted program. We understand what inspires you to develop it, but talk about what it is.
Well, what it is that from my research and from my own experiences, that when I was in that mindset before getting the CPAP, that was my reality. So all my 50 to 60,000 thoughts that I had was based on that reality. What the Reset It program does is to reset those 50 to 60,000 thoughts that you have, so you're free to think and be and do whatever you want to do and that becomes your reality. So this is what we teach, is to get you outside of your programs and conditioning so that you're in the state of presence. What I mean by the state of presence is the absence of your programs and conditioning.
I see. So your preconceived notions kind of go out the window, is what
They're
you're saying
gone.
here. Okay, so talk to us. Give me some examples. Can you explain the core principles of the Reset It program?
Well, the core principles is the three, and we talked about it in your intro, is the reset, learning about resetting it, re-owning what's new for you, and restarting from a place where you are so well with yourself that everything that you put into that space becomes your reality. So these are the three pillars that we're working with. It's about resetting, re-owning, and restarting.
All right. So how does one know that they need a reset?
Well, most of the people that they don't know, because they're in that program or condition about what their lives is. What happens is that when the people come into our program, they're curious, or they've done everything. They worked on themselves for the last 25 years and it hasn't changed anything, and they want to do something new, or their bodies are telling them they have to go in a different place because they're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Then they're trying to find things, and that's where our program comes in. It fits right into you tried everything under the moon. It's not working for you, and now they're coming in to see us.
So, where my work is mostly in addiction, what can you do for addicts that are trying to be clean and sober? Will this program help them?
Definitely. We've got some really good case studies on, don't forget, this is all based on programs, conditionings, and beliefs. Why addiction happens in our lives is based on a program and condition or belief somewhere. So in our past, we're bringing this into, I'll give you an example. When people when they're drinking or they have drugs or whatever the addiction is to get them outside of the mind so that they're free of their programs and conditioning. It's the programs and conditioning that's running it. So when they use the alcohol to get into that, what I call the state of presence without the programs and conditioning, that's what they're looking for. So when people come in our program that have addictions, well, now they're not using alcohol or drugs or whatever addiction is. They're not using that anymore because they're in that state of presence all the time. So that need to get outside of the mind is gone.
That's a very interesting concept. Do you have some success stories? Can you give us some examples?
Well, I'm just working with one, and he put it on the. This is a French client that I have in Montreal. He was social drinking, but he had a need to drink every day, and that it was just that continuous conditioning of taking that drink and having that drink, and going through the program. he didn't need to have that drink anymore because he wasn't looking to get his body to get out of the programs and conditionings. So he's living now that he can still drink, but he's making the choice from himself to drink. And that's a completely different way of looking at it.
Okay. Also, we would say in recovery that there are some people that unfortunately are sicker than others, and many people don't have the liberty of being able to drink and stopping.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's why in the sessions that we do, we have a program that we follow our clients for a month, 2 months, 3 months, so that they reset all the issues that are attached to drinking.
I see. Well, that's very interesting. And I'm sure a lot of people would like an alternative to some of the treatment arenas that are in this country and also in Canada as well, because 12-step recovery and even normal cognitive behavioral therapy and all the work that people do in family of origin and family systems and all of these things, some people still have difficulty. So what you're saying here is a possible alternative, possibly, to see if this works for you. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I'll just put it in a way that's a little bit different, is that when you are so well with yourself and you're so well with the situation that you're in your body and your mind, that our program is to get you into that space of who you are. And then you can make choices where you are, whatever you're going to do. It's not about the addiction anymore. It's about who you are in this moment, who you are. Whatever happened in the past is the past, because that's part of the programs and conditioning. What we're doing, trying to fix things from the past to bring us into the future. So we're fixing something that really does not belong to us to fix because we've learned it from somewhere else.
I see. Very interesting concepts. So, how does one go about starting your program? Where can they find you?
Well, we're 11 members. We're 11 members on my team that does this all over the world. We have another 4 coming up, getting certified through our program. The best way is to go onto our website, take a look at the people that are there, choose the one that fits with you, have a conversation with them. There's nothing everybody's together. Everybody's got the same training. Everybody's got the same stuff. And just go onto the website and pick anybody that you would like to work with.
So, since we're on the radio, let's tell everybody what the website actually is, and that's reset-it-ca. Is that correct?
That is beautiful. Yes.
All right. So that's where people can find you, and you work with people all over the world, so anybody can partake. Tell me, how long is this process?
Now, the regular program that we have, the basic one that we do, that we're not working with addiction. We're working with the public that needs to get a reset, is normally 2 sessions long, 2 90-minute sessions. And that's it. Because what happens is that when you have everything inside of you already, is that you're programmed and conditioned not to see it. So what we do is teach you about the programs and conditioning so that you can do this on your own. So that what we're doing is we're working ourselves out of a job in reality. Is that you have 2 sessions, that's it, that's all you need. And some people will come back a little bit later on that they need a little bit of a refresh, but most of them go through it. Now, if we're talking about addiction and other things, well, that takes a little bit longer. They have to go through the 2 sessions, then they come into our Reset Plus program that we see them every week for 60 minutes, and we go through all the programs and conditions are attached to whatever they want to work through. If it's addiction on whatever it is, and if it could be food as well, it could be sex as well, it could be any addiction that you have is based on a program and condition or belief somewhere. So you just have to reset the program that's attached to it.
I see. So, do you find that there are some people here that would not be right for your program?
I haven't seen one.
No matter what. So if there are complex traumas, if there are other issues, do you find that your program would also be helpful?
See, we don't work on the trauma. We don't work on the addiction. We work on the programs and conditioning attached to all these symptoms.
I see.
So we were going into the place where it all started. So that wherever that's going to be, some people will take a little bit longer to do. Some people do it in very short time, but there are people that the only person I've seen in my practice is that when something is mechanically wrong with the brain, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because it's not working as it should be. It's not operating as it should be. So if there's something mechanically wrong with the brain, that's where we have to stop it.
I see. And how does one diagnose that?
It's what I mean. If they have a diagnosis from a doctor saying that they had an accident with their car and they got damaged, the brain damaged. That's where it's not us that we're going to do that for you.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about some of the other success stories about people that are not necessarily having an addiction situation, but what other kinds of things have you seen? What do people come to you with, and how do they end up?
Well, with a lot of people come into there's a couple of themes that come up mostly every session or everything that we work through, that being imposter syndrome, that we're not good enough.
Really? Okay.
Yes, we're not good enough. Where we can't do this. We don't make the money that we should be making. We don't have the partner that we want. All these things are all based on a program and condition that you received somewhere. So once we identify the program and you reset, because don't forget, we're teaching the method so that you can do this on your own. You don't need us anymore. So you identify it, we teach you how to do it. And if there's something else that comes up, well, now you know how to do it on your own.
So have you really felt that the neuroscience background you have and the quantum physics background you have has greatly influenced your work?
Oh, boy, it's all based on that. It's all based on neuroscience and quantum physics. So what you're putting, and when you're in your programs and conditioning, you resonate in energy based on the information you're putting out there. Your 50 to 60 trillion cells in your bodies, it's broadcasting all over the world saying this is who you are. So if you're in your programs and conditioning, let's say you have the program that I'm not good enough. Well, guess what? You're resonating the energy of I'm not good enough. So everything's going to be attached to I'm not good enough. And then once you reset that program and you become your original self, because don't forget, when you were 3 or 4 years old, you didn't have the programs of conditioning. After 3, 4 years, our parents, our society trained us, conditioned us to do certain things, and that's the results of our programs and conditioning.
I see. So do you actually take people all the way back to try to eliminate the programs and conditioning?
Well, it's not about eliminating a program, because if we're eliminating something that doesn't belong to us, we're just putting more oil on the fire. What we do is that the technique is that you go remember and we don't have to know what's going through. We don't have to know what you went through. That's the beautiful part of our work. I don't have to know what you went through. You have to know what you went through and how you are going to reset it. So we're teaching you the technique so that you can do this, go into your programs and conditioning. How does your body feel, and get into what we call the state of presence, the absence of programs and conditioning. When you're in that state, you'll see the light, you'll see something completely different. Because what the brain does is that the brain will always remember the last time you thought about it. So if you thought about it in your state of presence, well, that becomes the reset of the old program, all the old stuff that you want to reset.
I see. You must find some really miracle transformations, huh?
Well, they're not. I don't like using the miracle, because we're all born this way. It's just that our programs and condition took us out of that state of presence. The absence of programs and conditioning. So when you're back in, you're just who you are. You're just doing what you need to do in the moment you need to do it. So there's no miracle there. It's
No
just you being
miracle. You're
you.
just being reset, kind of like a rebirth to where you were from before. Okay.
Exactly,
In a
because you're
really good
resetting the
way.
thing, because you're resetting the things that don't belong to you.
I see. Okay. If you want to work with Mark and his team, then I would like you to go to reset, RESET IT and Mark and his team will really do some wonderful things for you in a very, very, very short time. And more importantly, empower you and give you the tools to help you do your own work, which is a wonderful thing. Okay, so what's on the horizon for Reset? What future projects are you excited about?
Well, we just launched. Well, we will launch. Where all my team is getting trained on resetting the way that we put food into our bodies, because we're all conditioned and programmed, and we have these programs and conditionings and beliefs around food. Now, the food industry is putting a lot of programs and conditioning onto us, and we become the guinea pigs of the food industry. So what we're doing, what I'm teaching to my members of my team is people that want to reset the way that they nourish their body, they come to our program that for 4 weeks, we do it monthly, weekly, and we see them weekly, and we have them monthly basis on resetting what the programs and conditionings and beliefs that we have around food and how our body is reacting to it. So that's one thing that we're working on. We're working on the other one is couples. We've got all these programs and conditioning around two people living together. See, what happens when you're a couple, you're bringing your programs and conditioning from your past into your relationship, and it's not the relationship that's going. It's the programs and conditioning of two people talking about being in their programs and conditioning, which has nothing to do with them, but it's the programs and conditioning running their lives. So we've got that program that's coming up, and we've got another one that we're putting out is the Reset Corporate America. Because don't forget, when people are hired, they come into a company, they're bringing their baggage of their programs and conditioning into corporate. And what happens is that the managers, the corporation, is more managing the programs and conditioning of the individual. They're not managing the jobs anymore. They're managing the baggage of people that are coming in. So we've got that program that we're just finishing up now, and we should be launching pretty soon.
That's
So we've got a
marvelous.
lot of stuff, exciting, beautiful stuff, because we're getting results that nobody else is getting, because we're not treating them as sick or broken or this or that. We're just teaching them a method so that they can do this on their own, that they have the power inside of them to do it. And it's 2 sessions long, and if it's regular, it's 2 sessions long. And the beautiful part is that you don't have to break the bank to go through it. You don't have to take a second mortgage on your house to reset the things that don't belong to you. We keep our prices very low. Why do we keep it very low? Because we want to reach a lot of people. Because there's 8 billion people in the world that all need a reset, whatever that reset is going to be. So for us, we've got work, and that's why we're reaching out to a lot of people to become a certified reset specialist. So they go through the training, they get through the stuff, and we teach them how to do it, and they can they can teach it to other people, and that's why we're building our team. Now we're going to be 15. We're going to be 25 by the end of the year. And next year is going to be 50. Then we're going to be 100, 200, 300, whatever that's going to be, because everybody needs a reset.
That's fantastic. Would you do me a favor, please, and put together a parenting reset?
Well, that's the thing that we got from the UK, is that my specialist in the UK has a lot of demands on resetting parenting. So we're putting from our research on neuroscience and quantum physics, how parenting is doing, what's the reaction of what's going through. Well, we're going to put a program into our Reset It Plus session, because it's going to be 4 weeks altogether. So what we're doing, and by the way, in our couple one, we're doing 2 sessions individual, and we're bringing the two together in the monthly program. So they're talking about the programs and conditioning of each other. And that's just when they understand that what you're saying has a reaction based on programs and conditioning of their past. Oh, then life is so much beautiful. It's so beautiful to live in that place.
Well, it sounds like a very exciting thing to do. And I just might see what it's like personally and see if you would teach me personally from your 2 sessions to see if the program would work for the pushy broad. What do you think?
I think that's that is a beautiful place. Beautiful. Come through the 2 sessions, because I always say what with the work that we do, the proof is always in the pudding. See, if we're not doing what we are doing, why should we do it? And that's the same thing on my website, is that if you don't receive what you need to receive from us in our 2 sessions, and you do the work, you learn the technique, if you didn't receive it, we'll reimburse you for it. There's nobody doing this.
No, there isn't. And you sound so
for me, that's the proof in the pudding. If you're going through, we're not coaches, we're not therapists, we don't do that work, because that's not the work that we're doing. The work that we're doing is teaching you the method so that you can do this on your own.
Well, it sounds very intriguing, and it's really a great challenge, and I may absolutely take you up on it, and I'd like you to maybe work with me specifically. Marc Mathys, Reset It, RESET-IT-CA, and .ca rather. This is a very intriguing program. Please check it out on the website. Marc, thank you so much for being here with me today. This is the Pushy Broad from the Bronx saying thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. This is Ellen Stewart, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, saying thanks for listening, and remember, everybody needs a little push.
From the Pushy Broad from the Bronx.